Hello everyone, this is DeMars Coaching. My name is David, and this video is about fear extinction. So I'm going to get into PTSD, C-PTSD, and fear response. Try to help you guys understand maybe what's going on with a lot of you guys watching this video right now. So our fear response is what we know it to be when we're experiencing danger. And we have an emotional and an autonomic response. Our emotions is how it feels, fear, and we have an autonomic response, which is faster breathing, and our heart rate speeds up, and our muscles get stronger, we get faster, think better, stuff like this. And these are stress chemicals that causes us to be better at this, to eliminate our danger. And when we do eliminate our danger, we have chemicals that come and dampen our fear response, that feel good, that soothe us. That's the normal process to danger and eliminating it. But when you get into post-traumatic stress disorder, and I'm going to try to keep this as simple as I can. So I'm not going to get into a lot of definitions, and I'm not going to get into a lot of terms, and I'm not going to explain exactly what's going on in the brain. If you have any questions, let me know. Ask, please. Thank you. PTSD would be the danger causes too intense of a response to us emotionally and autonomically, okay? And so our nervous system may go offline. And the stress, the fear response seems to last, doesn't go away after the danger is gone, okay? And we can become easily triggered, an intense fear response to perceived danger. It doesn't have to be necessarily the exact thing. Our brains tend to associate these kinds of traumatic experiences to something that may be a stimuli that has nothing to do with our experience. It could be a room, a house, or a car, things like this. Different things that trigger these kinds of fear responses in someone that had this traumatic experience. So the fear response becomes learned, becomes hardwired. It's like a reflex, automatic. And that's called fear conditioning, right? We talked about, or we haven't, but we know what conditioned responses to things are, like Pavlov, right? The dog salivating to a sound. Keeps hearing that sound, begins to salivate. That would be a conditioned response. This fear conditioning will cause anxiety, depression, isolation, withdrawal, and doctors are having trouble treating this. It has been determined sometimes to be untreatable, but it's not. Some people even become desensitized to fear emotions after their traumas, not being aware of their fears, maybe fear, stress, anxiety all the time, becoming desensitized to it so it can't work anymore, if that makes sense. The fear extinction theory is to introduce new information to inhibit an old learned fear response. So the fear response uses a specific brain circuit, and the trauma bypasses something in that circuit. And so that we have a fear response to many different stimuli. By fear extinction, the hopes are through introducing new information, creates new brain circuits, uses new brain circuits, and you can do this with talk therapy, things like exposure therapy and CBT, cognitive behavioral. And doctors are trying to use drugs to inhibit the fear response due to triggers. And they're not having a lot of success. They're having some with PTSD. With C-PTSD, I believe that drugs cannot cure this. Cannot. It's too complex and too involved. They hope that drugs are a preemptive treatment, like tranquilizers. But like I said, C-PTSD is complex. Prolonged, repetitive series of trauma. And this is why feeling better by eliminating the source of danger and fear and stress is not healing. It's not the cure. And a lot of us don't understand all of this and how complex all of this is. And we want to feel better. And then we ruminate on the relationship because we need to understand. We need to understand our experience so it's not emotional anymore. So it's not sad. So it's not traumatic. So it's not causing us stress, grief, anxiety, depression, ruminating thoughts anymore. And that is just the beginning. There's much more to learn than just a new fear response. Learning to have new responses and new behaviors is how we find success in what we've had failures in, and that's relationships, right? Fear extinction is a theory, like I said, that it is hopeful that people can heal from PTSD. And I know that people can. I've watched it, I witnessed it, and I've done it. I've had C-PTSD for many, many, many years. And I no longer have the learned fear response I've had my whole life to danger. My fear response to danger, if it's bad enough, could be just freeze, not fix it. I believe C-PTSD starts in childhood, absolutely. And we're finding out that adults that are diagnosed with PTSD, we're finding out that a lot of this trauma may have C-PTSD may have started in childhood, making them, more likely to get PTSD through traumatic events that may not give it to someone else that does not have C-PTSD in childhood. So my fear response used to be intense, and it could be, it's different things that would cause it. I know that emotionally, especially a lot of women, females, their fear response and triggers a lot of it is emotional. And they get fears of abandonment and rejection and things like this in relationships with people, new relationships, being triggered by old experiences, by even with new people they just meet, new relationships that aren't in the same things aren't happening. And that would be your fear response being triggered by conditioned, if that makes sense, by a trauma. And so we want to change this, right? And we want to have a better emotional reaction, autonomic reaction. And this will serve us better. Just like I said, some people have desensitized to this so much, fear doesn't serve them. They walk into such dangerous situations. That's been me too. Just talking myself out of it, ignoring it, maybe drinking or something. I've been in very, very dangerous, physically dangerous situations and not scared enough to remove myself. Or my emotional reaction and autonomic reaction is so intense, I freeze. Now it's not. Through talk therapy, I've been able to heal post-traumatic stress disorder so that my fear response isn't intense. It serves me well. There's fear. I eliminate the fear, and that's something new that I've learned how to do. And then I have a normal fear response, but it's not intense. And then my nervous system works well, and it softens the emotional reaction and goes away. It's great. I've been tested many times in the past several years with many of the same things that caused my trauma that no longer cause me much fear, and definitely not stress after prolonged stress. They measure PTSD, after 2 to 4 weeks, you still have the same symptoms. You could have PTSD. C-PTSD, man, it's so much worse. It may be the absolute worst psychological diagnosis you could ever have, anyone could ever have. For so many different reasons, not just how it feels. Because our fear response isn't serving us well. We will tend to withdraw, cause depression, anxiety, not be able to form new relationships. It can cause paranoia, dissociation, things like this. So, I hope this helped you guys understand a little bit. I tried to keep it as simple as possible. If you go look up information about this stuff, it can get very complex. They get into what's going on in the brain. You're talking about the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, things like this. It can get confusing. If you guys have any questions about any of this, please just ask me down below in the comment section. If you feel this was good, you liked it, subscribe, give it a like, and share. Thanks, everybody. Love yourself first. Thanks. Bye.